Sarah Vineyard, welcome to what's a little bit of an experimental session. It's late here for me in the UK. You've just got done with your working day in one of my favorite places in the world, lovely, lovely California. How was your day, Sarah?
It was good. It was good. A little overcast, so we get weather here too.
What? What? Whoa, it doesn't even look overcast. Even though it's overcast, it looks like it's amazing weather.
You're not
So,
wrong.
right. So, super cool. Like, I'm so pleased to have you on for a little session this evening. I wanted to do this because I don't know if you remember this. So can you remember the year we first met? Can you remember what year it actually was?
It
'Cause
was. Yeah, 2013. I was
okay.
just back in place.
It's nearly a decade, and it's
Yeah.
not, I think that was my first, I want to say first time speaking, or possibly my second time speaking in California, in San Diego. And it was fantastic. Now, I remember you coming up to ask me a question after one of the sessions, and you were telling me that you had the chance to buy a hospital. And I had just been on a visit to a bit, I thought, I've been told to go to this place. And then I came back and you came and asked me the question. I was like, it was where I'd just been. And I was like, oh my God, this place is like the most amazing place you could possibly open a veterinary hospital ever. And sure enough, you're opening a veterinary hospital there. I was so green with envy, but so delighted for you as well. What an opportunity. And actually what I liked about it was one of these stories that when you hear about how hard it is to get into practice ownership, here was just an opportunity opened up before you. So maybe tell us about how did that happen? How did you land on your feet in La Jolla, in San Diego? What?
Luckily, yeah. So I had been, when I got out of school, I worked, I'd been circling it slowly with all the jobs that I had. So I worked in East County for a while, and then I worked my way from North County on down. And my mission was always to be kind of in that little area. So I just happened to stumble across this tiny little fixer-upper practice that, was, ready to go to a new owner, and I jumped on it. So yeah.
I kind of love that. So I'm almost interested in the evolution from you, because give us a little of the backstory of you as a clinician. Like, how did you wind up going, I want to own my own practice one day? That's, we hear the story all the time. Like, that's not something women often want to do. So it's something I have to say, I don't believe, with all the fantastic female leaders I've met all across the world, but especially in the US. But how did it happen for you?
You know what? It was, I remember when it happened. I was working at this tiny little cow practice in Michigan, and the doctor used to let me read his vet economics magazines back when they existed. And so there was this like spread within that vet economics magazine, and it was talking about, just the differences of like associate versus ownership. And I think I was 16 maybe. And I looked at it and I was like, well, why wouldn't I do that? And so that always that was always what I wanted to do. And then every job that I would have, it was like I had a lot of really good bosses, but then there would be little things that I'm like, I just wish they would do this thing different. And I always had that streak to want to just kind of go my own way with things a little bit.
Do you
So
remember, do you remember what any of those things were?
um
I
yeah, I
asked
mean,
because I've got one in my head. I thought the same thing, and I wondered what things in your head were.
well, I like the first job that I worked. It was just kind of a little bit chaotic, and there wasn't a lot of staff support. And I would always, meet with the doctors after work and be like, okay, like what's going on? How can we fix this? And what can we do to kind of train everybody and kind of fix the stress that was going on? And I would just keep hitting these roadblocks. And I was like, this has gotta, there's gotta be a better way to do this. And then it would be little things like, hey, I want to see exotics, but I can't, and so I just hated that feeling of being kind of boxed in, and not being able to do what I thought, was maybe a better way, or a more progressive way of doing something. So yeah, just little things each place.
Was that drive just to make things better?
Yeah.
It sounds a lot like that. Um, so I'm kind of curious then. So when you took over, you bought your you bought the first location, and that's in La Jolla, right? That's Colony
Yep.
Vet Hospital. What have you learned? What have been the lessons for you in ownership? Like
Uh,
for actually, first question, knowing that, would you go back to your 16-year-old self and go, yeah, do it? Or would you be like, what would you say to her now?
well, I mean, yeah, it's funny you mentioned that because like I would still do it, but I also learned that you don't know what you don't know until you're in the middle of not knowing it. And
Mm-hmm.
my bosses who I thought, oh gosh, we could totally do this so much better. I look back and I'm like, okay, I get it now. There were so you learn humility.
That is an incredibly important thing to learn. Is that I don't think some people do.
Yeah.
It's a good thing to learn. Okay, so when you first took over, what have been some of the things that have been really important to you as you've grown the business? Because it's undergone a bit of an evolution.
Mhm.
And one of the things that I wanted to get to, and we'll come on to this, was you've got, I think, an amazing vision for the practice. The purpose and the mission are things that I think are quite remarkable. And you don't see that a lot in practices. A lot of people were just showing up to grind our way through veterinary. What are you going to do? I'm going to be a vet. And what does that mean? I'm going to do veterinary medicine all day. And it's just exhausting to keep going like that. So when I work with and come across and hear about practices with stories and that are on a mission, whatever stage of development that is in, my antenna pop up right away. And that's really what I'd like to spend a lot of time on. But let's not go there yet. I'm kind of curious about what the first things you did and what some of the learnings as a team leader were for you.
Mhm. Well, when I first bought my practice, I realized that I was really lucky in the past. I had some really, really well-trained techs, and you don't realize that until you walk into a situation where there's a lot of learning that needs to be done. And so I'm looking, going, okay, I guess we're starting from here. But it was kind of fun, because I both my parents are teachers, so I can't help but do that. That's kind of what I grew up around. And
Right.
so, we started, from the ground up, and we just taught our team, what it was to really be a true tech and really advance their skills. So that was really fun. And I think in doing that, we had some stumbles along the way. And there were some people that, kind of got what we were doing and some people that didn't. And, the ones that didn't kind of ended up evolving themselves away. And then we got new people in. But yeah, I mean, it was an evolution that way. There were care standards that we needed to, advance and grow. So there was just a lot of positive growing, but it was intense and it was hard, and
Mhm.
it was encompassing, like all encompassing for a long time. I looked up and it was 6 years later. It was
I mean, that's the scary thing, isn't it? That
yeah.
time just goes super, super fast. So, okay, all right. So you have this vision, and I know, like, so okay, maybe tell us what's there. You've not content with just having this one thing going on. You've and I think you did this pre-COVID. It's kind of a
Barely. Yeah.
big move, big moment. You made a big decision. Slight, not necessarily a pivot, because I think you probably had a plan. But tell us about 2020. I mean, as we know it's been hard, but how has it been for you, and how have you been coping as you've gone through 2020?
Well, I mean, it's been a challenge for everybody. Everybody's
Yeah.
just your whole way of life has shifted. It doesn't matter whether you're, a tech, an owner, a receptionist, everybody has had their, life shift. And so we had our life shift a little bit more because I added the second location 2 weeks before we closed, before the first lockdown. So that was fun. Um, so
Did you have
yeah,
set doubts as you were signing the closing paperwork? You're like, oh,
the bank was going to pull funding as I was signing the paperwork. I signed paperwork without funding. I found out in the lobby of, after I signed the paperwork and as the bankers were all signing off, that it had gone through. That's, yeah. So I've got some gray hairs from, from that. So,
Oh yeah,
yeah,
I'm feeling
but
that.
exactly. So, big risk, big reward, I guess. I don't know. But yeah, so I mean, we've had to pivot, and it's been interesting because we've also had to kind of walk into an existing culture at the second place. And be mindful that we are walking into this established culture, and be a good caretaker of that culture too,
Mhm.
but also try and steer them where we want to go. And I was really, really, really fortunate that a lot of everybody that was on the team at the second place really bought into the vision that I'm trying to steer them towards. There have been a couple hiccups, but it's mostly just been communication stuff more so
Yeah.
than more so than anything else.
Y- You're gonna have worked in situations where you're bringing teams together, and also when you're stretching to a second business. And almost in a number of ways, I think that's one of the hardest leaps, because you've got your baby and your baby wants attention, and now mom is over there, and then suddenly you're like, you're like, you're suddenly you're caught. It's like it's like how roller skates and your legs are getting further
Yeah.
apart, and it's hard to do that, and it's bringing cultures together. That takes skill, and that certainly can be a bumpy ride. This is a good bit of the conversation to get to. You're in this phase between reality and aspiration,
Mhm.
and that can be a murky, it can be a challenging enough phase at the best of times. You're doing it through COVID, where the world is going mad and everybody's level of uncertainty is dialed up to 11. It's a tough spot to do that. This is what I love about your vision, because I always think that vision is one of those things that, even if you're in a sandstorm, the vision is the light beyond it that you could see, and you're like, that's the way.
Mhm.
That's how I feel about it. And so your vision, I love, and I wondered if we could touch on that for a little bit, and I think just talk about kind of the awesomeness that is that vision. So tell me, I mean, and I'm just, I don't know, I kind of, I love where you've gotten to with this, and uh, I suppose you tell us what those things are. What is like, what is your why? Let's quote Sinek there. Like, what's the why for the practice, and what are you trying to do?
Yeah. So, we, well, our mission statement is, we exist to protect the love that pets bring us each day. And I think that, sometimes that gets lost in the shuffle. Um,
Okay, I'm gonna hit pause on that,
sure.
because that's so easy to that is simplicity. It's not like one of these long, wordy, verbose uh, mission statements that just waffle on and are just buzzword bingo. Hit me with that again, because that. The thing is, that doesn't sound like a vet practice, because most vet practices are about, doing medicine, or what do you do? Like we want to make pets live happy, healthy lives. Read that back to me again.
So we exist to protect the love that pets bring us each day.
I mean, there's something so simple and so profound about it. What's behind that?
Well, I mean, one of the reasons I love this job so much is that we are in this unique position. We get this tiny glimpse into this, just some of the most pure relationships that people have are with their pets. And to take that little piece of gold in your life and trust it with someone, that's so cool. That's so cool. So that's why I do what I do, for sure. So
And you see it. Where else do you see, other than the wrong end of the losing team on Super Bowl day or whatever? But you see it in the exam room every time, don't you? You see it. You see the emotion cut loose in
mhm.
beautiful ways, difficult ways, challenging ways. But it's love and loss played out in the exam room with us. There's just something of the theater of what we do within that that's captured, that it certainly speaks to me as perhaps as a more creative person, but I love what the statement brings. Now, what you're also on a mission that then goes beyond simply that and gets a bit more tangible. And it, to me, it feels like a bit of a red hot mission. I don't think I'm up to the job though. So what's the mission?
So we want to, I just want to be this group of just empowered, badass women that just shine a light in the profession. I just want to up our game. I want to do great medicine. I want to serve, serve that bond that I was just mentioning. And I want to do it in a way that also serves the people that are with us. So I want my cohorts. I think one of the things that vet medicine sometimes can take from us that it doesn't need to is ourselves. And I don't want to do that. I want everybody to come to work with the fullest version of them that they can, because if you aren't full, you can't give as much to your patients, to your clients, and to the profession.
How, bearing in mind you're kind of in this sort of between worlds at the minute, how will you make, like, what are some of the things on your mind as to that get in the way of us being able to bring our full selves to work? Like, what prevents us from doing that? We know burnout's rife. We know compassion fatigue is a thing. We know there's a hemorrhage of talent from the profession. Um, what is it that you see being done differently, that can change that? I think it's awesome that you want to inspire and create this thing. What does it mean? Are there more practical things that you mean to work on, put into play, or are working on? Where are some of your thought processes there? Because if everybody, I just think, if everybody thought like this and thought about the experience for everybody rather than the dollar or the competition or the endpoint or the EBITDA of the multiple, then this profession might be on a different course than it's on at the moment. So I'm super curious as to your thoughts, because you're in this germinal phase as well. It's an exciting primordial soup to play in. So where's your thought of this? And you get a free hit at it, because it's, but not that you're, doing a live video and this is committed to forever or anything like that, but no pressure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and I mean, just a minor point, like I think all that stuff that you just mentioned, if you take care of your people, it'll just take care of itself. It's not, I don't worry about that, because when you have a team that is well lubricated and working on all cylinders, it just works. So
Yeah.
I mean, one of the things, culture is one of the things that you and I have been working a lot on, is just how do we kind of create this, almost like an oasis, of a workplace where people can be excited about coming in and can feel safe growing, because when you grow you make mistakes, and
Yeah.
that's scary for people a lot of times. So how do we create a situation that's not scary for them anymore? So is that what you're trying to get, kind of more?
Yeah, absolutely. I just it's clues, it's breadcrumbs along the way of how you see it. And that's always one of the things that's quite interesting to me, because I came from a sports background, in terms of what I was actually probably the best at in my career. Like, being a vet was being a sportsman at 5'7" was never going anywhere. No, it's not right. But and being a vet probably was, but it was not something that came easily to me. Competition and those things came easily to me, but it really feels, and I've had to unlearn a lot of things in my leadership journey. So I'm just coming at it from another angle and that's what's coming through. It's love, it's empathy, it's creating space for, maybe the word is balance within life. And I don't know, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but it feels like it's coming from a good place. And I know you well enough over the years to know that is true. But so my curiosity is around where the thoughts you take, what's percolating away in that brain of yours as to what the future looks like, and who's going to go on this journey with you? Like, like who's the ideal? Who do you want to go on this journey with you?
Well, I mean, first off, I want someone that wants to be there. I want someone that like this isn't terrifying for,
Yeah,
because if I'm just dragging you along, it's no fun for either of us.
yeah,
So, I think someone that probably, just loves what they do. Like that's, and even maybe, maybe if you loved previously what you did and you still feel that, but you're just in a situation where it's not working because maybe some of those other needs aren't being met, like that's fine. I've been there, I get that.
yeah.
So looking for someone that still has that passion of what they do, and someone that I think has the ability to fail gracefully, if that makes sense. Like, I don't, like
I
I'm
suck at that.
yeah, yeah.
I'm so not. If I'm like I'm not women. I failed disgracefully.
Yeah, but I mean, it's I'm sure I'm gonna butcher the phrase, but it's like if you lose, don't lose the lesson, and
Yes. Yep.
that's one of my favorite things because, anything that doesn't go according to plan, like is still an opportunity. There's still a way to evolve and figure out, okay, well, that didn't work, but why? And, maybe how can this help me in the future? So someone that, I'm looking probably for someone that doesn't have a big, like, I don't even want to say a big ego, but just someone that is very self-aware, and humble. Um, I think there's a
Mm.
lot to be said for that. But also someone that is empathetic and kind and passionate about what they do. And um, yeah,
And your mission as well, and I think this is also what I think is a little bit unique about what you're doing, is that you, you're not just looking for people. This is partnership. This is almost like an older school style of thing here, where you're okay with someone coming and being an associate, but
mhm,
if I'm picking up what you're putting down, what you're looking for are people who can come in and actually see themselves working in a partnership, in a cooperative kind of, women-led uh, group where you don't have to sacrifice everything. You can have a great career. You can have a great family. We just published the blunt dissection episode 48 2 days ago, and it was with Molly McAllister, who's the chief medical officer from Banfield. And, she's done so much stuff. And we didn't talk. I mean, we talked in the interview about family, but I wasn't going to put that in the show notes because, I want to make it to be a thing. But she's had family and done all of this stuff. It's possible to find that balance if you find your purpose and you work to purpose.
mhm.
And I think that's what's remarkable about the journey that you are not setting out on, that you're well into, is that you do have this clarity of purpose and you're looking for people to jump on the boat that also want that version of the future, that you don't have to have this harem and scarum. My, you're not all I'm going to check back in with you in like 10 years. And if it's everything but, gray hair and there's just tufts falling out, you're just like, yeah, it didn't go so good, then we'll have a word. But when you're on a mission with people who share that vision and share your values, then this should be a fun ride.
Yeah, yeah,
And
for sure.
it'll have its moments, but I like that. I like that. Um, what are the good bits of ownership?
You know, the good bits are there's a ton of them. Like as much as I'm tired and as much as I have stress and everything, like I love owning. Like
Mm.
one of the things is just being able to kind of steer your own vessel is great. Like that's just that feeling of freedom to be able to hey, like Mrs. Jones just lost her husband and she needs this help. Like I don't have to ask and beg anybody to help Mrs. Jones. I can do that. And that's great, you know, and seeing, you know, being able to be in control of, like, you spend so much time at work that you darn well better like who you work with, and you better, you know, have people that are, you know, rowing in the same direction as you. And so being able to have an impact on that, and being able to, like, take someone and know them well enough to be able to coach them in a
Yeah.
way where, like, if I walk in and I know, you know, you're having a bad day, we've got that rapport already that I can take you aside and be like, hey, what's going on? Like, what can I do to help you? And, you know, and also being able to kind of celebrate wins with them. That's so fun. You know, when I had my, you know, my techs in California, you can, registered techs can close skin. So after my spays and neuters, I had a registered tech and I was like, hey, do you want to learn this? And I'll tell you what, she's so much better than me at it. Like, I just love it. I'm just like, come on in, you know, and it's so fun to, you know, just watch them kind of evolve and coach them through that. So that's really fun. And then, you know, I like being able to not feel like I'm operating within a box.
Mhm.
You know, I can make medical decisions based on what I think is best and what I think is right, not based on what, you know, what constraints I have. You know, of course, there's always, like, I can't have an MRI machine, but you know, I mean, there's always some, you know, some constraints that I have more,
You will
you know,
when you've got like your five
yeah, yeah, exactly.
practices in
You
your
really
MRI center in the middle of them
have,
all.
yeah. Yeah, but it's nice. You know, it's like we want to add laparoscopy soon, you know, and it's like, great, let's do it, you know, and you know, it's just, it's kind of nice to be able to have fun with those parts, you know, the fun stuff that sometimes you don't get when you're beholden to, you know, a corporation or to a boss, or, you know, it's nice.
There's a freedom there,
Yeah.
and I imagine that's, you know, that's one of the things that's quite appealing about partnerships as well. So,
Mhm.
cool. Sarah, thank you. That was it was so nice. Just as an idea popped in my head, because I know that you're building something that is cool, that stand out, and I wanted to learn a bit more about that, and also give you the chance to share a little bit more about it, because I think you're a great, you know, just a lovely human being and one of my favorite people in veterinary medicine. B, I'm super jealous of the fact that you're in California, and if I can't be there myself, I might as well try and help others get there, because it's kind of such a cool place. But I love the fact that you've got that sense of where you're headed, and that you're willing to acknowledge that you're not there yet, but you're also willing to do the work to get there, and that's what I see in you each of our interactions, which is kind of really cool to see. So any final thoughts or anything, for anybody listening or watching this? You know, what messages do you have, perhaps for people who want to do their own thing, but perhaps people that are, you know, thinking, you know, would they like to come and work with you in California?
Okay, well, we're hiring, so that's my final
Direct.
thought. I'm
That's your
shameless
final
plug.
thought. Yeah, don't set up your own thing, come work with me. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I think, you know, it's not without its own risks and rewards and work. But if you're thinking about doing it and you don't want to come work with me, then you know, you should, you know, do it, because it's so worthwhile. And you know, I just, and also shameless plug for you, like, thank you, because through the years as I've been working with you, like, it's been really invaluable as far as, you know, just getting my head right on how, you know, how to steer through this, you know. So my guess, maybe make sure you have a good mentor too, you know.
Yeah, if I've not scared you off by this point, I'm probably not going to. So,
Yeah.
no, that's great. Well, Sarah, thank you. I know you've had a busy day, and it's the end of your day, and you've got family to go be with and enjoy and wind down. So, thank you for sharing. I think just sharing some of your insight into your journey. It's good to check in, and also just that clarity of vision. That's the thing for anybody listening, is that vision. I think there's something very, very special in that. And if you're looking for a role in the practice, look for things like that in practices, and look for values. And if you're thinking of setting up your own practice, think about having something like that there as well. And if you're somewhere in the middle, maybe. just maybe a trip to Southern California to meet Dr. Vineyard wouldn't be the worst call you could make. Sarah, thank you for your time.
Hey, thanks, Dave. Thank you.